Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. And tonight's Raw was held from the Schottenstein Center in Columbus, Ohio. I think that's how you pronounce it. And before I start the Raw review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous video, which was the Pacific Rim Uprising review, definitely go check that out. Really enjoyed that film, even though it had its problems. But it was an enjoyable film that a lot of people gave it crap. Although the film is not as good as the first Pacific Rim, but it was enjoyable. I still liked it. It was a fun popcorn flick. But so yeah, so if you haven't checked out my review of that, definitely go check it out. And on to Raw tonight. Tonight's Raw, of course, it was another week, another shitty Raw it was. This show fucking sucked ass. This show was a piece of shit tonight. And these Raw shows keep getting worse and worse every single week. But yeah, so before I start the review, I want to also talk about a big wrestling show that was on pay-per-view on Saturday that I did get to see and watch, and just gonna get my thoughts on it. And after I did the Pacific Rim Uprising video and uploaded it, there was a big indie show on pay-per-view called All In. And this was a indie show that was promoted by Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks from the Bullet Club. Took place in Chicago at the Sears Center. And my thoughts on this show: this was a really good show. This was a enjoyable, amazing show. The matches were really good and awesome. We had Christopher Daniels versus Stephen Amell, aka Green Arrow, Oliver Queen, in the match. Unfortunately, he lost. Christopher Daniels won. Stephen Amell very surprised me with his moves in the ring. So, and then we had a four-corner survival match with the women. It was Tessa Blanchard versus Chelsea Green, Madison Rayne, and Britt Baker. Chelsea Green is the girlfriend, of course, the girlfriend to Zack Ryder, and Britt Baker is, the girlfriend to Adam Cole. And they put on all four of these women put on a great match. Tessa Blanchard, actually won it. And we had Cody Rhodes beat Nick Aldis. Cody Rhodes is the new NWA World Heavyweight Champion. It was an awesome match, really good, and the ending to the match with Cody Rhodes winning it, very memorable moment. And we had Kenny Omega versus Pentagon Jr., aka Pentagon Dark, from Lucha Underground. And this was also another enjoyable match. Really like Kenny Omega. And Jericho, at the end of the match, Jericho came in with an unexpected appearance. He was in Pentagon's look, and it was awesome. It was a good match, and it was a good appearance also from Jericho. And just this show was amazing. It was a great show. If you guys haven't watched it yet, highly recommend you check it out. All in all, great show. And it was much better. It was much better than this piece of shit that we got with Raw tonight. I'm like, how do we go from All In to this? This show tonight was really nothing. Aside from the Raw Tag Team Championship match and the Shawn Michaels, segment, which I don't want to spoil though because I want to talk about it. All in all, besides those two things, this was really a nothing show tonight. Absolute garbage show. So the show opened tonight with Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre coming out. Braun ends up showing the footage of what happened from the past 2 weeks. He showed the footage from last week where him and Dolph and Drew were doing the three-way, attacking Roman Reigns, and then attacking Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. And Braun says that what was displayed there, when they beat up on the Shield, he says that's what he called justice, and he tried to do it face to face, face to face Monster the Man, with Roman. And so he says, he would look Roman into his eyes when he cashed in his briefcase, and all Roman had to do was take a beating. And he ends up saying that without the Shield protecting Roman, the Universal Championship would have been his, which I fully would agree with him on that. We wanted Braun Strowman as the Universal Champion, but WWE used Braun Strowman like an idiot, just standing there, and they let Roman win it. They favoritize Roman. They do it for Roman. There's a whole lot of favoritism in this company with Roman and Charlotte on SmackDown. So, but this whole heel thing with Braun Strowman, he got cheers, and it looked like later on they were booing him, but this whole Braun Strowman heel thing is stupid. They should have just kept him, a baby face because he was so over with the crowd. WWE, of course, fucked up. So Braun ends up saying no. He says, he ends up saying to Roman he's got a pack of his own now, meaning he got Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler. And he goes on to say that it's his yard. And he says that Hell in a Cell, he's going to dismantle Roman. He's going to break his body and take the Universal Championship. And Drew says, to look at them, to look at him, Braun Strowman, and Dolph Ziggler. And he ends up saying the Shield has had their time, and it's over. And so he says they are going to feast on their carcasses. And Dolph says that all three of them will be a dominant force in WWE history. More dominant than the Nation of Domination, more dominant than DX. And he goes on to say that, more dominant than the Shield. I'm like, really? More dominant than the Nation of Domination? DX? Really, Dolph? And so Dolph says, the Shield started it, and they are going to end it. And so the Shield's music ends up hitting. They come down. They make their way from the crowd like, old times, coming down. And we see Baron Corbin, acting GM Baron Corbin come out, sends out the whole Raw locker room, and the Shield, ends up taking them out. The Raw, locker room still keeps on coming out, trying to separate the Shield from Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Strowman. And so the Shield end up coming in, and they attack Strowman, Dolph, and Drew. And You know, they attack them while Corbin is still sending out more of the Raw locker room to separate them. And you know, they were just beating up, you know, the whole, you know, Raw locker room, the Shield. You know, because they wanted a piece of Strowman, Dolph, and Drew. And this eventually led them all to going backstage. So when Raw came back after the commercial, we saw the Shield back there, and you know, the whole Raw locker room there, and we saw the Shield were being arrested. They were thrown into a police van and was let off. So, you know, right there, you know they're going to be back, you know, later on in the night. So that ended up happening. But you know, just let, they should have just let, you know, the Shield, you know, Strowman, Dolph, and Drew just, you know, just throw some blows, you know, not separate, you know, them, you know, because you got the crowd going, you know, let them fight, let them fight. You know, but, you know, WWE and their, you know, trying to separate, you know, the brawls. So, but, you know, then we had the Bella Twins. The Bella Twins, they're back, you know, tag teaming together in the ring after 3 years. The last match on Raw was in August of 2015. So, you know, they ended up, you know, back, you know, tag teaming. You know, Nikki and Brie, they end up facing Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan of the Riot Squad. This match was meh, in my opinion. The Bella Twins, you know, I know a lot. They got a lot of cheers from the crowd. You know, them returning. You had Brie Bella botching, you know, the suicide dives twice. The first time, look, it was laughable. I laughed at it. Second time, it looked like she was. Second time she did it, it looked like she was gonna be, you know, waiting for an accident to happen. You know, it looked like, you know, she was gonna be, you know, in an accident with, you know, doing like that, and having to be carried out from medical, you know, guys there. But you could tell Brie, you know, had some ring rust on her. You know, she hasn't competed in a while. But the Bella Twins end up winning the match. Nikki hit the Rack Attack 2.0 on I think it was Liv Morgan. So yeah, so that ended up happening. So the match itself, it was meh, in my opinion. And then so we got to after that match, we had Baron Corbin on the phone with Stephanie. He ends up telling her that Raw is back on track. And, you know, after he got off the phone with Stephanie, we see Smiley Finn. Smiley Finn is there. Finn Balor. Finn Balor comes in. You know, he says he wants a rematch with Corbin. And I'm like, not another match with them. I'm sick of them going at it. It's getting repetitive. But then, you know, Corbin tells him, you know, Corbin tells Finn he only can make the matches. And Balor says he wants his rematch, and he wants it right, so he can see who the better man is. And Corbin says to him he's got his rematch, and it's the main event. But will it be the main event? We'll have to wait. You have to wait and see. Sorry about that, but yeah. So that was the other segment with Corbin and Balor. backstage. And we had Charlie Caruso interview Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, two guys who haven't been seen on Raw in weeks. So we had that. Then we had Chad Gable and Bobby Roode versus the Ascension. Pretty boring match. Shit match, in my opinion. Just the beginning of the match was just Chad Gable suplexing, German suplexing Viktor. And that was it. And then Bobby Roode comes in, starts doing moves on Viktor. And then at the end, Chad Gable ends up hitting a German suplex bridge to Viktor, and they win the match. Chad Gable and Bobby Roode win. That was that. Boring match. Shit match. Then after that, we had Elias. He was out saying, he was out singing. He was like, "Oh, we live in an insane world." And, last week he was slapped by an insane girl. He says he dislikes women who hit men. And that is what, Trish did to him last week. And he goes on to say that he wrote a song about Columbus. About, the city they were in. And then, while he's trying to sing, he then gets interrupted by Alexa, Alicia, and Mickey. Of course, Alexa got a pop from the crowd because this was in her hometown tonight. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Raw was in Columbus tonight. It was Alexa's hometown. And so, she got a big pop for that. And Alexa says to Elias that, Columbus is the birthplace to her, and that she graduated in the building that, Raw was in tonight. So, and then, then she goes on to say, Ohio is imbeciles, and everything, that Elias said, about, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio was true. And, Alexa says, she wants to walk with Elias. And tells him to play the song that, he was going to, sing. So Elias, then starts to play. Gets interrupted by Ronda Rousey, which she ends up coming out. Then we had, that end of the segment, and then Raw went to a commercial. Then we had Alexa Bliss versus Natalya. This was a meh match, in my opinion. Of course, you had Mickie James and Alicia Fox out there. Ronda Rousey was there too. And the match, in the end, Natalya, she looked like, she was trying to, win the match, but she then gets, held down by Mickie James, and then you see Alicia Fox, slapping Natalya, which eventually led to Alexa hitting the DDT on Natalya. And then she ended up locking in Natalya with an armbar, to get into Ronda Rousey, to make her pissed. So, but yeah, and then Natalya ended up tapping out. So Alexa Bliss wins. Then you had, after the match, Mickie and Alicia came in. Looked like they were going to beat down on Natalya. Ronda ends up coming in. Ronda ends up judo flipping Alicia. We saw Alexa, ends up taking down Ronda. Tosses her out of the ring. She tosses Ronda into the steps. And Ronda gets up, fights back, she fights back, to Alexa, and we just see Alexa end up escaping, wanting nothing to do anymore with Ronda. So, match itself, it was meh. Then we had Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre, and Dolph Ziggler approach Corbin. Strowman ends up telling Corbin to give, all three of them competition. And Drew and Dolph say to Corbin that they want a tag team title match tonight. Corbin ends up saying, the Revival is booked tonight. So, yeah, we had the Revival and the B team. It was announced from last week. But will we have the Revival? We'll just have to wait and see when I talk about this. So, Charlie Caruso, she was interviewing the Revival, Dash Wilder, Scott Dawson. And the Revival say, Scott Dawson says, they said that, everything that they said last week about, the B team and the tag team division was true. They then get attacked by Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. And, they get, beat up by them backstage. And then it went to commercial. And maybe it looks like we're going to get Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus the Revival probably next week. Knowing this. Then we had the B team come out, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, and they played the Revival's music, and the Revival didn't come out. And so JoJo, says, and their opponents. And then out came Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. So the match got underway. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre versus Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, the B team, for the Raw Tag Team Championships. This was a decent match. This was not a bad match, in my opinion. I mean, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre, they were entertaining in the match. They were just beating down on Bo and Curtis. And then at the end of the match, Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre hit the Claymore zigzag combo on Curtis Axel to score the win. And so Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre are the new Raw Tag Team Champions, which, thank God. Thank God. Just the B team as the Raw Tag Team Championships, it was a fucking joke. It was a joke. With them having the tag team titles on them. Fucking joke. But thankfully they're on Dolph and Drew now. All in all, it was a decent match. Wasn't bad. Then we had Authors of Pain come out. And it was revealed that AOP's, Authors of Pain's, new manager is Drake Maverick, the GM from 205 Live. And I'm like, what? What? So how is this going to work now? WWE did no explanation as to why Drake Maverick is now with Authors of Pain. This is like random. This was fucking random. It's like, oh yeah, let's put Drake Maverick there. We have no other manager who can manage AOP, so let's put Drake Maverick there. So now Drake Maverick is on Raw, and he's going to be GM, and he's GM on 205 Live. So what is this going to be? They're going to make him, a heel on Raw and make him a babyface GM, because he is a babyface GM on 205 Live. So is that what WWE is going to do? They're gonna still keep Drake Maverick as a babyface GM on 205 Live and make him a heel on Raw? What the fuck are they doing? This doesn't make any fucking sense. So Authors of Pain had a match. They had a match with Jobbers. That was that. What more can I say? Authors of Pain won. I don't know what's with WWE putting Drake Maverick with the Authors of Pain. There could have been any other manager that you could stick them with. How do we go from Paul Ellering to managing them in NXT to Drake Maverick now? Or what is WWE going to do? They're going to make Authors of Pain come to 205 Live, and then they're going to make the Authors of Pain take out the whole entire cruiserweight division. Is that what this is going to lead to? I said it doesn't make any fucking sense. Then we had Natalya and Ronda Rousey in the locker room. Natalya says, she doesn't feel like herself right now. Well, I wouldn't blame her. And the Bella twins come in. They say that Ronda is going to be the greatest women's champion ever. And they go on to say that Ronda inspired them to come back to WWE. Which mainly, the only reason why the Bellas are back is because to promote the new season of Total Divas. And, of course, possibly, probably they're there, to promote, the Evolution pay-per-view. So, of course, we all know that the Bellas have a contract just like John Cena. They're free agents. They could appear on Raw or SmackDown. Same with, Brie. Brie appeared on Raw tonight, and then, she's going to appear on SmackDown, with Daniel Bryan, because they're going to have a match, of course, Brie and Daniel versus The Miz and Maurice. So, so they offer Ronda, for them to be, Ronda's training partner, and Ronda ends up saying, Natty is her, training partner. So it was that. Then we had the best, which I consider the best segment of Raw tonight. We had the return of one of the greatest superstars and wrestlers of all time on that list. That was the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. And he comes out and says, Undertaker and Triple H at the Super Showdown, which is the Australia show, which is coming up in October 6th. And what sucks about it is that show is going to start at 5 a.m. here in the East Coast. No way in hell am I getting up that early to watch the show. I will watch that show when the network replays it. So, and I'm going to avoid spoilers for that show. So he ends up saying that match, Undertaker and Triple H at the show, is going to be a insane match. And he goes on to say that when that match was announced, he wanted to see it. And it's probably going to be a match, we will never forget. And he ends up saying the odds is that Triple H is going to win the match because they are best friends. They've been friends for over 20 years. And he says to Undertaker that Triple H is still the game. And he's got a lot left than, he does, than what Taker does. And he ends up saying that at Super Showdown, Triple H is going to annihilate Undertaker. And then we hear the gongs. And then, it's The Undertaker. The Undertaker appeared tonight, which was awesome. It was awesome. It was, unexpected that, Taker was going to show up to Raw tonight. So Undertaker comes out. He ends up saying that, he thinks, this whole conversation has become personal. And he ends up saying, he put both Shawn Michaels and Triple H down. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Undertaker said, he put both of them down, HBK and Triple H. And, he goes on to say that he took their egos and careers. Shawn Michaels ends up saying, to Taker that he is a man of his word and that he stayed away and, stayed true to his retirement. Because he ends up saying, he's a man of his word. And, he has stayed retired. He has stayed retired because of the system and for, us fans. And he also admits, he stayed retired out of respect for Undertaker. And so, the crowd starts chanting, one more match, one more match, Like every time, when HBK makes an appearance, the crowd always goes one more match. And so, Shawn Michaels says, every time he steps into a arena, he always hears, that one more match. And Undertaker says, is this respect or is it fear? And he says if Shawn Michaels came out of retirement, it would be against him. Meaning that, Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker would happen. And he says, if he were to come out of retirement, it would be against him, and that, he would put him down all over again. Undertaker would put Shawn Michaels down again. And he ends up saying that, in Australia, he's going to put Triple H down again. And that ended the segment. But this was the best segment of the night, like I said, in my opinion. I really enjoyed this. And, hopefully they make a match for Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. Possibly WrestleMania 35. Hopefully they do that. I would love to see that. I would love to see Shawn Michaels come out of retirement, have a match with Undertaker once again. We have one superstar that is retired and one superstar who should be retired but is still going. But I would like to see that match. I'd like to see one more match between Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. Please make it at WrestleMania 35. So then moving on, we had Finn Balor and Baron Corbin in the locker room. Corbin ends up calling off the match with Finn. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. We don't need to see them go at it once again. Because, he's been busy with, run the show. And so he makes a match with Finn, which Balor's still going to be in the main event. But he ends up saying that Finn is going to be going against, that Balor's going to be going against Braun Strowman. So it's going to be Finn Balor versus Braun Strowman in the main event. So. Then we had Sasha and Bayley versus Dana Brooke and Ember Moon. This match was meh, in my opinion. Not that great of a match, not a good match by any means. Sasha and Bayley won the match. Sasha ended up rolling up Dana Brooke. So Sasha and Bayley win. Dana Brooke was mad about losing, so she ends up saying, "I quit." Meaning, she's out, she's quitting Titus Worldwide. So, but yeah, the match itself, it was meh. Then we had Charlie Caruso interviewing Bobby Lashley. Baron Corbin ended up giving Lashley a performance review. It was, Lashley had a paper. He was holding on to a paper that Corbin gave him. It was saying that Lashley is putting the Raw roster in danger, and he must be putting that anger, like, meditation thing with Jinder Mahal, with the whole Shanti, that whole shit thing. And Lashley says he's good with Jinder, helping him out with his anger issues. Okay. So, Jinder Mahal comes out. Show goes to commercial. Comes back from commercial. Bobby Lashley ends up coming out, saying that, Jinder Mahal says, he could help Lashley. And he senses a great anger in him. And he will make Lashley find, inner peace. And then, they start sitting on the floor. They'll start sitting on the carpet there in the ring. And Lashley, how many times he ends up going, "My man, my man." How many times did we see Lashley go, "My man," tonight? They should make that into a video meme, where like they add something and then at the end you just get Lashley going, "My man." Yeah, and it could be a good drinking game too. If Lashley keeps saying, for future, shows, if he keeps on going, "My man," it would be a good drinking game also. So, but this whole segment, Lashley then starts, he started repeating everything Jinder said in the beginning. And then Kevin Owens comes in, attacks Lashley from behind. Lashley ends up fighting back, but Kevin Owens ends up kicking him in the face. Kevin Owens then has Lashley. He powerbombs Lashley on the apron outside. So I'm like, okay. Kevin Owens said he quits last week. A week later, he comes back. I'm like, what the fuck? What the fuck are they doing? Says, "I quit last week." Week later, comes back. Doesn't make any fucking sense. When he said he quits, it means taking time off. And he comes back a week later? The fuck? And then we had the main event, Braun Strowman versus Finn Balor. This match was not that good of a main event, in my opinion. It was just Braun Strowman, just taking out Finn Balor. Finn Balor tried to get back in this match and lay some stuff on Strowman. But in the end, Strowman ended up getting the win. Ended up hitting a power slam on Finn Balor. So Braun Strowman ends up winning the match. After the match, we saw Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre toss Balor to Strowman. Strowman ends up laying Balor out with a power slam. All three of them, they were outside on the floor. All three of them were going to do a Shield triple power bomb, but they then get interrupted because we hear sirens going off. And it was shown that a police van was being backed into the arena, inside the arena. And first out comes Roman, who pretty much was probably backing up the police van. He ends up coming out first, of course. And then we had Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose in the back of the police van. And so, you know, the Shield, all three of them, they make their way to the ring. Raw superstars come out once again, and they end up taking down the Shield. And it just gets crazy from there. Sorry about that again. Keep getting interrupted. But like I said, Raw superstars end up coming out, and they took down the Shield. They were practically beating the hell out of the Shield. It got crazy, and Strowman ends up hitting the steps into Roman. And we saw Seth he was on the stage, and Seth ended up flew into the police van. And we saw like the window, part of the window crack and break. And we saw Drew McIntyre lay out Dean Ambrose with the boot to the face. Dolph ended up laying out Seth with a super kick. Looked like Seth was out of it. So, and we just saw Dolph end up hitting the super kick on Seth. Then Strowman ended up hitting a power slam to Roman on the floor. And pretty much that's how the show ended. I'm like, we saw during this whole thing, we saw Drew Gulak there. I'm like, Drew Gulak is on 205 Live. Why is he here? This was random. This was so random. Why would you put him there when he's on 205 Live? It makes no fucking sense. He's not a part of the Raw roster. But yeah, after Strowman ended up hitting the power slam to Roman on the floor, him and Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler were in the ring, raising their hands, and show went off the air. So that was that. Main event, like I said, Braun Strowman versus Finn Balor wasn't that good of a main event in my opinion. So yes, anyways, that's it for this review. My review of tonight's Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all had a good Labor Day, since today was Labor Day. So I hope you all enjoyed it. So yeah. So anyways, that's it for this review. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned tomorrow for my SmackDown review, which hopefully it will be a much better show. So I'll see you all tomorrow with that review.